Okay, so today we will talk about the role of economics in design in more detail. So to start off with, what can we define economics as? Okay, so I wrote you a definition. Economics can be defined as a science that deals with the making, distributing, selling and purchasing of products and services. So it deals with all of these things. And it also deals with individuals, groups. Individual is what? Certain people. Groups are specific groups of people. And nations. Nations means countries. So it deals with certain individuals, but also with the entire nations, from the small to the large. So all of this, how do they manage and use resources? Okay? So this is something here important, managing and using resources. So when we say resources, what is a resource in economics? Resources mean, okay, assets. When we say assets, it means something that you have. So when I say I have an asset, it means I have something. Now what this something is, that's another question. But this is the meaning of this word, okay? So resources mean assets used. Something that I have, that I use to produce goods. When we say goods, this is the same meaning like products. So I'm producing something with this what I have, these assets, okay? These resources. So, assets used to produce goods and services that meet human needs and wants. We already know what is needs and wants and the differences between them. And something that can be used for making profits. So these assets, or what I have, I can use to meet human needs and wants, and I can make profits with them. I can use them for making profits. So resources are things that I have. Okay? So how individuals, groups, and nations manage and use their resources. Okay? So this is something major that economics deals with, as well as making, distributing, selling, and the purchase of products. So all this process, okay, economics as a science deals with it. So we have here the individuals, the businesses. When we say businesses, we mean the companies, okay? Individuals, individual people, and governments. Okay, every nation, every country has certain governments. So all of these make choices, okay, or decisions to allocate resources during scarcity. Now, all of these make decisions of where should we put the resources that we have. This is the basic of economics, okay? So we have something, where shall we put these resources? So in simple example, you as an individual, you also take such decisions. Like for example, let's say you have 5 JDs in your pocket, okay? Now these 5 JDs, I am, for example, hungry. I want to go and buy some food. But the teacher also asked me to buy some Fabriano papers. So my food will cost me like 3-4 JDs. The Fabriano will cost me, I don't know how much. So in my head, I have to make a decision, okay? Should I buy the food or should I buy the papers first, okay? So the asset, the resource that I'm talking about is the 5 JD, okay, in this case. And how shall I allocate it? To this or to that? So when we talk about economics, of course, it deals with exactly the same things, but in a bigger kind of picture, okay? So, making decisions how to allocate resources during scarcity. Now, as a word, scarcity means what? Basically, everything is scarce, have a scarcity in this world. That means there is nothing unlimited. Even if you take the most rich person in the world, who have billions, he still have a particular amount of money. Okay? It's not unlimited. You, as an individual, you have certain resources. They're not unlimited. So at some point they will finish, okay? Everything is scarce in this world, and economists deal with this thing. So this allocation of resources must always be kept in mind that they are scarce. At some point, it will finish. So how do I allocate it? To what? So what is the best decision, okay? So these choices, both individuals take, both businesses, companies, and entire governments, countries, okay, have to make these decisions. Making choices, how to allocate resources for the production of, to make things, okay, producing things, and the distribution of things, and the consumption, okay, of what? Goods, meaning products of all types, and services, in an economy to meet increasing demands with scarce resources. This is in a simple definition, okay? So, what is demands? Last time we explained it. Needs, wants, demands, okay? Let's say when an individual wants to and has the capability to buy something, it becomes a demand that you will go and actually do that step and buy this, for example, product. So, meet increasing demands, people and groups of people have increasing demands. We want more and more and more, but at the same time the resources are scarce. So economists deal with all these problems of allocation of resources. Not only economists, individuals, companies, any company, it's also involved in the economy, okay? Now, when we talk about economics, we can break it down into two major things: microeconomics and macroeconomics. These two areas are, each area has specific things that they deal with. Micro from something small, macro from something big, okay? So, microeconomics, it basically deals with or examines individual consumers and company decisions. So we are dealing here with people, groups of people, companies, and how they decide to allocate resources, okay? This is the microeconomics in simple terms, okay? Macroeconomics is more concerned with the performance of the economy as a whole. So the macroeconomics deals with the big things, like for example entire nations, how the economy of this nation works, how it can be improved, all of these things, the big scale. Now, we as designers, we basically need to know more about the microeconomics than the macro. The macroeconomics, if you're specializing in this area and dealing with the high level of economics, okay? But you need to know the difference in general between the two. Now, both types, micro and macroeconomics, what? Use historical data and current conditions, meaning current situation. Historical data means what? Data from the past, information from the past. So they take information from the past and current situation, depending on what kind of situation we are in right now, to basically advise, inform businesses. That means companies. So they advise the business, do this in this way, it is better than in that way. Based on what? Historical data, based on also current condition. So it's different if we are in a current condition, for example, of peace, or if there is a war happening in the country. It's very different. The economy is the situation very different, and the decisions very different. Okay. So, and also make predictions on how markets will behave in the future. So, using historical data, current situations, economists can predict what can happen in the future in the future economic situation. So, both economists that deal with micro and macroeconomics use this method, okay, to predict, but each one predicts different things, okay, but the same method. Now, economics, of course, is, as we can see already, it's part of our daily life. We discussed it even in previous classes, you know. Everything is related to economics, so we need to know, you know, some basic knowledge, no matter what kind of area we are specializing in. Designers, not designers, everybody should know some basic knowledge about this area to be successful, you know, in life in general. Now let's look at some of the things that economics and design have in common. Similar, in common means similar, okay? So what do they have in common? For example, both design and economics aim in general, you know, because there are always exceptions. When I say in general, I mean often, most of the time, but of course there are exceptions to any rule. So design and economics aim in general to improve what? People's lives and well-being, how people feel, are they happy, not happy. So economics and design, as we already know, especially the design part, that designers in general aim always to improve the life of people. And we already know that people have what? Needs and wants. And both designers and the economists what? Study the best ways to meet those needs. So the designers, when you want to meet a need of a certain group, you do some research about this group, about how can I meet the needs or wants of this group. The economists do the same. Okay? They also study groups and think about how can we meet the needs and wants of people. So we have similarities between the two fields here. So when you look at economics in the, you know, when someone tells you economics, immediately you think, okay, economics deals mainly with money. And when someone tells you design, you think, okay, design focuses mainly on creativity, on aesthetics, making something beautiful, functional, pleasing. So basically, but that's not the case, okay? That's what we think when we look at the field in the first situation. But the main focus is the user. So both for designers and economists, they have the same goal, which is what? The user. They focus on the same thing, the user, okay? The user and the benefits of the business. So, as an economist, you look at the how can I benefit the user and how can I benefit the businesses. As designer, you do the same thing. How can I benefit the user, target group of people that I'm designing for? And also, you will be working as part of a company, as part of this economy. You will not be separated from it. So how can you benefit the business also? At least if it's not your intention, the boss of the company will have this intention. So he will make the designers work towards this aim, to benefit the business and the users. Okay? So these two things, basically, we can look at them it's a two-way process. For economists and for designers, the same thing. So, balancing the needs of the business with the needs of the customers. Customers means the same as users, means the same as people, okay? Customers are the people that will buy whatever we are designing and producing. So, this balance needs to be found, okay? So how can I meet the needs of the business and the needs of the target group of people? There is a balance, okay? That should be aimed for if the company is successful or the designer is successful. So, any successful company is very careful in what? every design decision is taken, what kind of, basically any decision, not only design decisions, but we are focusing on the design, okay? So any decision about the design, a successful company is carefully considering so that to know or predict what impact it will have. Okay? Every decision you make in life has an impact. Even a most simple decision in your daily life, I mean. When you make a decision, there is always an impact. Okay? So imagine if you have a company or you work in a company, how important every decision is for the success or failure of this company. So, and usually it is focused on to create enough value so that the company is willing to pay for it, and also the people, the target group of people are willing to buy it, also to pay for it. Because you see, companies pay for everything. Like if you want to make very simple things, okay? A brochure, a business card, you have to pay. Okay? You have to pay for the materials, for the workers who will work, for the machines, the materials that go into the machines, so electricity, you name it, okay? So, the company has to pay to make something. And now, the level of value in this created thing must be carefully calculated and decided, so that the company has the ability to pay, and also the user, the consumer, the human, okay, can buy this product. Not to be, for example, too expensive. So these decisions are not easy, okay, to take. But they have to. So, also, something very important in economics that economics deals with, basically at its core, is not only economics, of course, economics and design, okay? They explore how people respond to incentives. What are incentives? Like rewards. Okay? We already mentioned something in the previous lecture about rewards, like when we talked about the habits, what makes a person go back to repeat a certain habit. Often it is the reward that is related to this habit that I get at the end that makes me go back and do the same thing over and over. Okay, but in this case, also, incentives play a big role. So, when we say people, or the behavior of people, is basically, at its core, dictated by the rewards. So everything you do, it's because at the end you will get some kind of a reward. Like, why do you study? Okay, of course, to get experience, knowledge, maybe find a good job in the future, get money. Some people study because they like, when they receive a full mark, they also like that. I receive a full mark. Also, this makes them happy, makes them study more. So there are different reasons, but what drives people are the incentives at the end. So now, different people can have different incentives. Like, some people care more about the grades. Some people care about money, okay? If I get more money in the future by having a good job, this is something great. So I will study more to get that job, okay? So this could be an incentive for some people. Other people like trophies more. Like, they will do something very hard, not for money, not for grades, not for anything, just to get a trophy or get famous or, like everybody to know about them. So, designers and economists try to understand the users and basically try to understand what the users basically drives them, what kind of incentives, and focus the right incentives to the right people. Because this group of people, maybe these are the incentives that drives them. Another group, maybe this, another group this, and you You can have so many examples. Okay? For example, this is a fitness tracker application. Okay? This application is targeted for specific people. So the one who designed it targeted specific types of people with it. So what does this do? Like, this application shows the distance you walked, okay, daily. It also shows you how many calories you burned and what distance your friends walked. So, look, it shows you how much you walked daily, how many steps, for example. But not only that, it shows you how many calories you burned. So, if, for example, your incentive is to lose weight, to get more thin, okay, this is a good way to catch you, to make you use this application. Because I can track my weight loss, so I know how many steps I walked, plus how many calories I lost through these steps. And I can compare myself with my friends. So if I have friends, I can say, oh, okay, I will try to walk more today than my friend, for example. Or just driven by the calorie loss, I will walk more. So it depends on what exactly drives me. But if you are one of this type of people, you will like to use this application. Not only that, this similar kind of application I saw that the bank uses. The bank itself, I opened it recently, and I saw steps. Basically, if you walk, for example, this amount of steps today, I get points from the bank. And these points, after a certain time, can be translated to money that the bank will pay me. So these are what? Incentives used to basically target specific groups of people to do certain things. Okay? So this is something that economists use and also designers are interested in. Okay, if you like to talk over there, please take it outside. Okay, keep it to a minimum. Okay. Now, something else that's very important. Design companies, not only design companies, every company, every type of company, but we will call design companies because we focus more on the design part, okay? So, design companies deal with constantly finding the right balance between customer satisfaction, the perceived value, I will explain what this is, quality, cost, and time. So, there is the value, the perceived value, sorry. We must make a difference between the real value and perceived value. Perceived value of the people or the customers, and cost, quality, and time. So there is a balance between all of this that companies need to take a decision of, need to balance, okay? Now, customer satisfaction, everybody knows what that is. How happy the customer is with what I'm offering him. But perceived value, what is that? Perceived value means it is a customer's own perception of a product's merit or desirability to it, especially in comparison to a competitor product. So what does this mean? So it's the customer, the human, the person's own perception, own perception, own feeling about something, own thought about something, okay, of what I think about this product, okay? I have this product. What is my personal perception about it? Is this, does this deserve to be bought? Is it high quality, low quality? What, Now, this is my personal perception of this product. It may be true or not true in reality, okay? So, especially when I compare it with other products. So I have one pen here, another design here, another design here, another. So I look at all of them and I think, this pen, this is the best one. But how am I making this decision? How? Okay? So this is my personal perception, and personal perceptions are formed in specific ways. Designers can influence the perception of people a lot. So you can make things, design things in a way so that people, when they look at it, they will perceive it as, this is the best one. Okay? Just by the way it's designed. And economists also deal with this thing, how to influence the person or the perceived value of something. Because the economists also deal with basically selling products in the end, making money, profits. Okay? So, now, we said that the perceived value does not indicate the real value. Now, maybe I perceive that this pen is the best one, in my opinion, but the real thing, the reality may not be like that. So it's a personal perceived value, but it's very powerful tool, very powerful. And it can influence what? The purchasing behavior of the people. To buy or not to buy something, depending on how I perceive it. Now, if you think a product is of a bad kind of quality, not something good, will you ever buy it? You will not. If this is your perceived value, you will never buy this. Okay, so this is a very important point here. The perceived value of the people. Now, okay, this is about the perceived value. What about the quality, cost, and time? So, what's their relationship with all of this? Now, if I want to make something, and we know most of the designs are actually products of some type. So when I make something, what for example, quality I will try to make is high quality, medium, low quality, and this will relate to the type of materials I'm using, for example, okay? A lot of details in it, how many parts it has, and so on. Okay, now if I want to make this a very, very, very high quality, using expensive materials, production methods, details in the design that make it expensive, this will, in general, most of the time, what? Increase the cost. So there is a relationship. Very high quality, the more the quality increase, the more the cost increase. And the cheaper I make it, with, as cheap as possible, also the price will decrease. And this can also relate to the time. Like sometimes when you make something that's very high quality, you need more time to make it. This also makes it more expensive. If you're a designer at a company and you work on a certain project, you work for 1 day or you work for 1 week, what does this mean for the company? Paying your salary for this specific task for 1 day or for 1 week, that means more money. The longer you work on something, the more money it means for the company to pay. So this is one thing. Also production methods, the way it is made, it can influence the time it takes. So these things can be related. We already kind of explained this. So when the price of something goes up, or the quality goes up, the price goes up. When the quality goes down, the price also in generally goes down. Have you ever seen a super high quality product, but cheap? It's kind of, not something we see. Also, so this is a general rule to keep in mind. Also, most people use products price, look at this here, it's important, as a measure of the product's quality. Now this here is a sensitive point. Look, if you go and buy a product, let's say I go and buy this mouse, and there is many designs of mouses, and I see this one costs 2 JDs, this one 1 JD, this one 3 JD, and then I see a mouse cost 15 JD. I wonder what happened here. Why is this so expensive? I take it. Okay, why is this 15 and all the others are so cheap? So, what happens in the perception, okay, is that if this is so expensive, maybe it is very high quality. But sometimes this is true. It's true. Okay, sometimes if something is of high quality, it will be expensive. But that doesn't mean that everything expensive is high quality. But you see here is where sometimes tricks are made. So the company sells something that's suddenly very expensive to make people think that it is of special, quality, when it is not. So, because both designers and businesses aim at profit in the end. So sometimes trickery or methods like this are used. So, not always expensive things mean that they are high quality. So, also, there are different kind of people, different kind of thinking. Like, for example, some people always, when they go and buy anything, okay, they always look for the most cheap, the least expensive, okay, the cheapest of the cheapest. There are some people who like that, okay, for several reasons. Maybe they don't have enough money to spend. That's one reason. Maybe they are just saving. They like to save their money but not spend it. So the reasons are, there are many reasons. But some people buy the cheapest and they don't care about quality. Maybe they don't understand quality. It's like when they see 5 different pens and they see this one costs 10 kirsch, okay, and this one costs 2 JD, this one costs 1 JD. I will buy the 10 kirsch. I don't understand what's the difference, All of them are pens, all of them in the end will serve the purpose of writing. So they have no idea about that the expensive pen, maybe it will last you for 5 years without breaking, while the cheap pen maybe will break after 1 week. But some people don't understand this. The same when some people go and buy clothes, okay, or shoes. Let's say shoes. There are some shoes that are very cheap, and they will break with you each month. So each month you need a new pair of shoes because of the bad quality, okay? And other shoes will last for you 5 years and look like new. But some people cannot differentiate. They don't have the knowledge to know that this is high quality, that's why it's more expensive. So they aim at the cheapest of the cheapest always, okay? Or it could be, as I said before, they just don't have the money, okay, to spend. While other people, you can find other groups of people that prefer to buy more expensive stuff and making more informed decisions. So informed decision means like some people really do a research before they go and buy something. Like, especially when it's something more expensive, like you want to buy a fridge for the home. So you have to spend maybe 800, 900 JDs to buy a fridge or more, So some people like to open, for example, the internet to read about this and that and the different types, what makes this better than this, so it's a research, okay? And then they decide, okay, I want this. And some people care about quality, okay? So why is this important for us to know about? Because you are involved in designing these products, okay? Or at least part of these products you will be involved in designing. It doesn't matter what kind of designer you are, interior, fashion, product, you name it. You are still designing something for people. So, understanding the target group of people from all its ways is a must, okay? Because this will influence the way you design something, and if you are working part of a company, which most likely you will, then the success of this business also lies in your hand. So if you design something that nobody will buy, nobody wants, nobody needs, and or designed in a way that will make the business pay too much, and in the end nobody buys it, then it's a failure for the business. So it's the design with the business connection, very important, this balance, okay? And you can succeed only if you understand the end user from all his ways. If you miss something important, it might make the result not successful. Now, sometimes in the real world, well, everybody knows what advertising in general is, okay, and marketing. Like when we see an advertising on the TV of something, and they tell us this is great, go and buy it, this is an advertising. This is to attract people to go and buy this specific product, for example. Now, advertising and marketing can change the way people view a product and change the perceived value of this product. So this is here very important for you as designers. Because sometimes just only through the correct advertising, the correct marketing, you can change the way people perceive this product. So until yesterday I perceived that this type of mouse is not a good quality. But then I see on the TV and advertising, suddenly it changes my mind. And I say, no, I was wrong. This is a very good quality. And you want to go and buy it. So this is very powerful tools, okay? How to make people do certain things, buy something you designed. So, good advertising and marketing can what? Can make sometimes people to buy certain products that are really not of such a good quality, or just because they perceive them to be that way. It's a perception, a personal perception of something. So they have a high perceived value as a result of what? Good advertising campaigns. So later when you study about advertising in the other classes, you will learn the rules, you will learn a lot of other techniques about how to make a successful advertising. What's the point of it? To make people buy, to increase the profits, again, in the end, of businesses. Now, we have here a certain situation that's important to remember. If you create an advertising campaign for a certain product, if you create an advertising campaign for a certain product, and you make a great advertising campaign, and as a result, people go and start buying whatever you put in the ad, and after a period of time, they discover that what you advertised is not correct. So it's basically like tricking the user. They use that sometimes, yes, often actually, in design. They make a beautiful advertising campaign about something, tell you, this is the solution. This is it. If you buy this, all your problems will be solved, okay? Depends on what problem, okay? They focus the advert on that. So, buy this one. This is your only solution. This is the perfect device or whatever, or product. So, okay, I go and buy this, let's say, device, and I start using it, and then I see, okay, but what I saw on the ad is not really what I'm seeing while I'm using it. So here I discover that I have been tricked in a way. And I'm disappointed. What will happen in this case? People will never go and buy the same product again. So, in the beginning, you will have great sales. The company will suddenly get a lot of profit, money, and then suddenly it will drop after a period of time. The money will drop because these people who bought this product discovered it's a trick, for example, not correct the advertising campaign, so they will never buy anything. And they will talk, I will tell my neighbor, my friend, don't buy this, it's very bad, okay? And the sales will drop, the profits will drop. So this is the result of making incorrect advertising campaigns. For something, you make it to have so much value when in fact it hasn't value and quality. Okay? So these things need to be also careful about. But sometimes it depends on the company policy. Sometimes you are forced to do certain things that, okay, you know this product is bad, but the company tells you, you are the designer, you need to make this for everyone to think that this is the best one. So you need to do it. It's your job. Okay? Even if you know it's not correct. So, we already can see from what we discussed today and the previous classes that economics in design is kind of a little bit complex. It's not a simple discipline because it deals with big things like how the entire, for example, the dynamics of companies' work, of the whole situation, and of specific things. So it's like a very wide and big area to consider. So it can be kind of complicated. Now, to make it a little more simple, we already discussed a lot of things, but this complexity and exactly what we are dealing with depends on the type of industry, the size of the company. Like, for example, what industry you're working in. It's different if you work in the interior design industry, different than the graphic design industry, different than the fashion design industry. So each industry is a little bit different, okay? Have different problems to deal with. There are common problems and different specific to that industry. Also the size of the company. Is it like a small, very small company that you are working in, or a very large corporation? So this will also affect the culture and the rules. Where is this company located? It's very different if it's located in Jordan or if it's located in Germany. Okay, the rules are very different. The culture of the people is very different. So this will affect the way the business operates and you as a designer, how you do things. Like if, for example, a certain advertising campaign is perfect for Jordanians to understand and make them go and buy the product, maybe for the Germans will not work. So you need to understand the way of thinking of the different cultures to know how to design for them. So this advertising campaign will not work for everybody in the same way. So just be careful about these things, the culture of the people and the rules of the country you're in. The people mentalities, of course, this is like the related to the culture, the way the people think, their mentalities. It's very important, okay, for how to conduct the business and how to design for these people. So these two things, okay? Now, when we say people mentalities, not only the people on the street, like the users, the ones that will buy my product, but also the employees, the boss of the company, how they deal with things. Like, for example, in Jordan, it's very common, if you go to a company, to hear the boss shouting at the employee. Shouting and swearing at him, and I saw that with my own eyes. And then you can find in places this is absolutely, you will never see it. Because if this happens, the employee will go and complain about the boss, and then the boss will have to pay money to the employee. So there are some things that you see in certain places that you don't see in other places. So the mentalities here of the employees, the people you're working with, the boss, the users, everything changes when the mentality changes. Now, also economic system in the country. I will talk about it on the next slide. The economic system type. This is very important here. And you see, some factors can be controlled by the company, and some factors it's out of your control. The economic system types out of your control, and it can have huge influences the way business is done, everything about design, about business. For example, let's see the different type of economic systems. There are three major types in the world: traditional, command, and market. This needs to be clear. What is the difference between them? So that if you plan to work as a designer in a command type of economic system, you are going to be totally different. It's like from another planet than if you work in a market system. So it's important to know the difference. Now, there are three major economic systems in our world. The traditional, you can find, for example, in countries like the Australian Aborigines, the original, the countries that don't have high technological development, like Rwanda. There are many, many countries in the world like this. So, non-industrialized agrarian societies. Agrarian means based on the land. Planting what the land gives you, okay? So, it's still a basic society without much industrialization, without big factories that produce and manufacture products, okay? So it's simple life, basic life, like, like your grandfathers and grandmothers used to live, in the past, before all these factories started getting built and industrialization came. So, what is produced in such a traditional economic system? What people need to survive? To survive. Basic needs, not wants, needs. Food, shelter, tools. This is the focus of the production in this country. Here everybody is focused on this, not on wants, on fancy wants. What kind of a mobile will I buy this year? Or what kind of a car? No. Okay? On basic things. How are these products made, produced? By farming, by hunting, by gathering. Again, you can see very simple. What you put in your land, this is what you will eat. You have your animals, the chickens, the cows in front, this kind of society. How people get products in this kind of society? People make their own, or they share. Like you plant your own food and you eat from it. Or you share with your neighbors. Or exchange. The neighbor is, for example, producing some handmade clothes. I am producing some food from the ground. So we exchange, okay, by exchange. Or by trade. You can also go and buy things, but simple things, not fancy wants, So this is the traditional type of economic system. Some countries today still work on that. So imagine you're a designer with a bachelor's degree in design, and you go to these countries to live. What will happen? You have to change all the skills that you learned to fit with this society, to start using, to make something beneficial for this kind of system. Now, okay, let's see the command system. What is that? Like communism, socialism, these are the same words basically, okay? Like now in Cuba, in China, North Korea. In the past we can see that in Russia, in the past, like 50 years ago, there was also communism there, and many countries. So, what is this system? This system, what is produced? Only what the government decides. Only. So, if you look now, if you open on YouTube and see how the North Koreans live or look like, you will see that everybody is like, how shall I say, wearing the same colors, the same type of clothes, the same, even the same hairstyles. It's like, wow, it's like everybody looks the same or very similar, you know? So, using the same type of products, very limited type of designs. So, instead of seeing 100 different types of pens in the shop, you will see only 1, 2 designs, that's it. When you buy clothes, what you will see in the shop? 1, 2, 3 different styles, that's it. All of them black, gray, white, boring colors, okay? Nothing fancy. Yeah, so when you look at the population, you see them, all of them are kind of look the same. Nobody wearing something super expensive, nobody looks poor at the same time. So, the government decides what will be made, only. So here, it's not driven by the people, needs or wants. Maybe I need or want something, but unfortunately, I'm living in this society, in this economic system. I have to listen to the government, what they tell me, only. How goods are produced or products? Whatever the government decides. If the government says, no, this red color we cannot use, no, only black and gray the population will wear, this is what the population will wear. And you cannot say nothing. Okay? How people get products? Whatever the government decides. Okay? And the government in this kind of economic system always wants everybody to be the same. Not to have one rich, one poor, one, you know, when you look at the street, everybody in different colors, in different, no. They want everybody like the same. Focusing on the main goal of the government. Okay? So, everything is about what the government wants here. Everything, the whole economy, the way designers work. In here, you will be very limited with your creativity because you're not allowed to be creative. You're not allowed. There is one style, one thing, or 2 maximum, and that's it. It's very limited. Okay? So, then we have the capitalism kind of economic system, which we can see in the USA, in Japan, in England, in, you know, like these countries are governed by the market economy. So what's important about this to know? What is produced, whatever people are willing to buy and sell. So here we have what people need and want. So what is being made is governed by what people want and need. So the focus on the people. So all this discussion that we talked about today and the previous classes and so, it's about really the market economy. So if I want to give the same classes to, if Jordan was a command economy, it would be totally different structure, totally different discussions, okay? Like no wants, no needs, no whatever, all of these things will not be discussed, okay, because they don't even matter what you want or need. So, our general discussion is about this economy. Because in a way, Jordan is in a way a market, mixed economy, I would say. We will see in a bit. But it's more into the market economy. So, how goods are made or produced? Business owners decide the most basically efficient way of production. Efficient meaning for them to get profit, money, and also for the people to meet their needs and balancing these things out that we discussed before. So, and how people get products? So, this is determined basically of what the person first need and want, and then desire basically to get, and if the person have enough money to actually buy what they want to buy. Okay, so it's about money here. So look at the main difference between this and this here, and you will see something very important here: the command and the market. So look here. in the command, in the communism, socialism, there is no competition. No competition. This is something major. Here, competition determines. Now, it says determines price, but it determines everything, really. So, here in the command economy, you have no competition. It's like I'm opening a shop, and whatever I sell or make, the government tells me, you have to make this. That's it, okay? Nothing more, nothing less. Now, if another shop opens next to me, the same rules apply to them. The government will tell them exactly what they need to make and sell. So, there is no competition. I cannot, for example, make a new design, start to attract customers to my shop to earn more profit, because there is no profit in this society. Everything decided by the government. There is no competition. This shop, the same like this shop, the same like this shop. Everybody sell the same things. Everybody get the same money. And usually the money go to the government. Okay, it's actually you don't have any private ownership. No private ownership. It's like you have a business, but it's not your business. It's the government's business. So, in the market, competition drives everything. So the final price we see on the different products is driven because we are living in this kind of market capitalism. So you will see one product has a certain price, another one another price, a third one another price, each one different costs. And there is a competition between quality, between so many different types of designs that I can choose from, and of course different prices. So this thing we can only see in this type of market, not in this, and not in this. So we need to understand that because in the future you may travel somewhere. You may travel to one of these, for example, which it's unlikely, especially not in this, but it could happen, you know. So you need to know as a designer how to deal with things. Like, if you want to open a business, this is the worst type of place to be, because you cannot own anything. You cannot make anything. Even for a designer, it's done. So, so you need to know about this. Now, we have also a fourth one, which is a mixed kind of economic system. And you can find sometimes elements from the market and command economy mixed. So from what I see, Jordan is kind of a little bit mixed. It's not totally a free market. It has a little bit of influence by the government, but at the same time, you can own business, you can make profit, you have competition. Okay, so it's kind of more driven towards this. So, from our discussion, we know that designer and economist must both be involved when it comes to making decisions, real design decisions. And because every choice the user make when buying, purchasing, something, is an evaluations of costs and benefits. Now, look, this is very important here. Evaluation of costs and benefits. We already discussed it in a way. So every time you want to buy something, you make a decision. Make a decision on what will this cost me and what will I gain, what kind of benefits out of it. Okay? And then you make the decision. Every decision, from individual to company to, when we take from the small to the large, makes cost and benefit decisions. So you evaluate a certain situation. So, and if designers, when we talk about designers, when they have a little bit of knowledge in economics, this can improve the decision making in practice. This is when you work in the design field, in design companies. So the decisions you take can be improved by having some knowledge in this field. And it can, for example, in certain companies, there are people who are basically specialists in economics if you work in a bigger corporation. So you can communicate with them more easily, collaborate with them more easily. You can understand each other's language. So it's good to know the basics. You know, it's like if you work hand in hand with an engineer, let's say. An engineer and a designer work together in a company. Now, if the designer knows a little bit of engineering and the engineer knows a little bit of design, the communication becomes more easier between the two. And the result will be better. But if one part does not know anything about the other part, it's going to create also problems. And as designers, you will be involved in companies in the future. Either you will be the owner or you will be working in a company. So a company cannot exist without being involved in economic and financial decisions. There will be money involved, there will be decisions to be taken, costs, benefits analyzed. So you are part of this process. And knowing about it, it's better for the success. So, economics for designers help designers in two major ways. We already discussed about how to basically apply the cost-benefit analysis in a better way for the decision-making process. So, we covered this already in the explanation. Secondly, economics applied in the decision-making helps designers achieve business and entrepreneurial skills to produce products or design services effectively and to run a design company successfully. This is if you want to open a company in the future. Okay? This knowledge will also help you. We discussed this also in a way. Please, discussions after the class, not during. Now, through all these discussions, we should not forget that design is what? A multidisciplinary field. Meaning, you must have really, as a designer, what is a designer? What you study here is just the basics of it. Once you graduate, you know the basics only. What you do after is what's important. And because it's a multidisciplinary field, it involves so many areas. Like it involves engineering, psychology, financing, marketing, everything about the economics, many, many, many areas. Okay? So, unless you understand this point, you will be a very limited type of designer. And it's very difficult to succeed. So, the more knowledge you have, the better. The more fields, the better. So, as many fields as possible. So that you can communicate and understand different specialists. So whatever person you will come in contact with in the future, you can understand and talk with them. Whatever company you work in, whatever customers you will deal with. The customer, okay, also important. So to be able to communicate with them. Example of the multidisciplinary nature of design. All of these things you must basically have knowledge from. Now we are talking about the economic side, but there is also the psychology side, the engineering side, you name it, okay? Now, when we talk about companies, there is different sizes of companies. Large companies, medium, small companies, okay? Yes? Anything? Different sizes of companies, okay? Now, the more the company becomes bigger and larger, the more they will employ, you will find a lot of different type of specialists. Like you will have designers, you will have engineers, you will have economists, you will have a lot of different types of people involved in this process. So, all of these specialists will work alongside, okay, with the designers. The designers will be involved, so everybody working together in a way to achieve the goal of the company. Now, this is an example of a company structure. example of a company structure. We have the boss, usually, okay? Then we have people that directly communicate to the boss whatever happens to the other workers. So it's like a hierarchy, okay? And the more you go down, the more you see more people involved, okay, in the process. Each one is this one is responsible for this group, this one responsible for this group, and so on. And all of them go back with the information to the main boss. Now we have to know that there are two major types of hierarchical structures. Now there are more types, but two major, okay? The mechanistic or the organic, okay? Now, each one has its benefits and each its bad parts. It depends. It depends what you are dealing with this company. So which type is better to employ? Mechanistic structures have centralized power. So one person is involved in everything. Decision making, everybody talks to that person directly. What this person decides happens, okay? And it's very formal in relationship. That means this person cannot go communicate to this person here, or this person to this person. No. Or these people communicate only with this. This one will go communicate with this. So it's like each part of the company is separated. Now, I can see this applied to Yarmouk University. It's an educational institution, but still, if I want to go and complain to the president, for example, of Yarmouk, it's against the rules for me to go and go to the president, knock on the door, and say I have a complaint. It's against the rules. What do I have to do? I have to go to the department head, make a paper there, then the department head takes it to the dean, then the dean takes it to the president. This is the way. So I cannot directly, if I am this person, go and communicate to this one. No, I have to communicate to this, then this communicate to this, and so on. So this is very important to understand the difference. In organic structures, we have a more kind of easy relationship. So a person from the bottom up, bottom down from the company can go and directly talk to the boss freely. Okay? So each has its advantages and disadvantages, and each depends on the client types. Okay? Sometimes collaboration between the different departments is important because of the client types, and sometimes you don't need it, okay? So this depends how you structure a company, depends on the clients, depends on the company size, even is it a big or a very small company, and basically on the goals. Now, something that we already touched on, but not in a lot of detail. Even here we will go over it generally, because later we will talk about it in future lectures. So, design economics deals a lot with developing cost plans. Okay? Cost plans. So, basically from the word cost, plans, planning the costs, okay, about the money. So it's involved about the money. So, if a company does not calculate correctly, whatever the calculations are, there are many, okay? But if the company does not calculate correctly, okay, it will fail. So, everything is involved with money, okay? Money involved in the costs, involved in the profits. And in the future we will talk more about it. But now in general, to know that the money part, cost planning is very important for any company. So, if you don't plan costs well, the company will fail. Because why? It will find itself, after a certain period of operation, they cannot pay for utilities, employee salaries, materials, other things. And when they cannot do that, the people that buy these products, the customers, will stop buying from the company. They will lose the trust, especially if they find out that there is certain problems in the company. Some companies in this case can resort to some kind of a trick again, to trick the customer, okay? By offering reduced quality or products or services, or try to take money from the bank as a loan to cover the costs that they have. But this is a temporary solution. In the end, the company will fail, because the banks are also designed to profit on you, to profit on individuals, to profit on companies, by taking huge amounts of money on the money that you borrowed. Okay? So the banks are also, in a way, like companies. They also profit. If you take a loan from the bank, you have to return it double after a certain period of time. So we are almost finished. We also need to know about one final important thing: globalization. Nowadays, everything is globalized, okay? Globalization of products. So, you as a designer, you cannot live in a small, closed-up space, just focusing on specific things like sketching, drawing, and some computer work, and think you are done, okay? You need to understand about the global situation, because in design nowadays, what you design here in Jordan may be sold in another country. Look how many products come from China to us. Okay? This is due to globalization, for example. So what you design is not only to be sold to certain people that you know. It could be sold outside of cultures you even can imagine or come in contact with. Okay? So you need to know a little bit about this. Now, globalization, as a definition, you can say it's a worldwide effort, and interaction is interaction of the public and private sector towards economic, financial, and cultural integration. There are certain words that are important, like interaction, integration. Everything becomes integrated with each other. Nothing is separate, okay? So, allowing and easing the cross-border movement and transfer of people, capital, products, and so on. So it's very easy today for you to go from Jordan to another country, to travel and work there. Very easy. Also, it's very easy for me to buy something that is not sold here from another country, or to bring it to Jordan and sell it here. So this kind of collaboration, interaction, integration, this is called the globalization of the products. And you need to have a basic knowledge of it. As a designer. So everything in our world in the end is taking risks. Even if if you have great knowledge in everything and you're doing everything according to the rules, you may succeed or you may fail. So everything is risk-taking. But if you do your research correct, if you have enough knowledge, the more you have, the better. You reduce this kind of risk happening, okay? And you can benefit as a company owner or as someone who works with a company. You can reduce this risk happening. Students, you must focus with me here, okay? The explanation is important because I will test you on it here. When we get to the exam, I will test you, okay? So talking with each other and this kind of stuff, not acceptable. We are not children from the Rauda, 10-minute concentration and then stop the brain. Focus a little bit so that you understand, because later this will come up in the exam. Okay? So just try to stay with me.